Right, so a column radiator, you can see all these sections are actual individual. So every single column has a seal either side, and then this large nut here tightens up, and there's a bar that goes all the way through, and that holds everything together. Now, one of the seals has gone, so see if you can see this. There we go. It's leaking out of this joint here. Now, we're not going to tighten it up. I'm not going to replace anything in there. We got a new rad because the company have just sent out a brand new radiator. So this one's coming off the wall. That one's getting swapped over. I'm not sure if this one's being kept to send back or what. Not a clue. You can see we start staining the stone here. That's not what we want. So these just unwind. And what we got in there? We got a screwdriver bit. Now, radiator valves, there's loads of different styles. TRV on this side, this looks like a TRV4 from Drayton. It looks very similar, but I bet it's not. And we're going to tighten up this head, because if that's not tightened down fully onto the body, then that pin could lift off slightly and it could let by. So we're going to tighten that down as well. But first we need a flat-headed screwdriver, which my bag is a mess. I need to tidy it up. Oh, this would have been a good one for tool cam. Do you want to go tool cam? I'm going to tighten that down. Like that, I think that's already off, to be fair. Now, the other complaint the customer had was that this radiator and the one in the back corner, back here somewhere, behind that sofa, same style, never got hot. Never really got hot. Now, you saw me trying to tighten up that lock shield. I think that's already been off. I don't think it was ever turned on fully or on at all. I think the plumber just fitted it, turned it on, got a bit of heat come through, and that was that. He didn't bother to check it, didn't bother to balance it. Now, we was going to do some balancing later, but we still might have to, so we'll see. Right, so the good thing about the way that this radiator's been plumbed up is I've got a full big gorilla tub underneath, so make it a lot easier when I'm draining down. Now I'm going to know if either of these valves are bypassing by when I open this. Now if it was open and it was under pressure, this would be probably splurting out everywhere. Okay, there we go, a little bit of pressure and then nothing. So that's good. It means that the water inside of here is not under any pressure, so we're going to have to actually open up a bleed valve to let it drip. So you get your super duper radiator key, and it is the best radiator key in the universe. So how nice and tight that is. We're going to open this up. Water sucking in. Now water would be immediately coming out if one of those valves was still open. And now it's starting to run, it's starting to trickle out. So it's running off of here, but luckily we've got this nice big tub. Now what we could do as well is grab this thing that I never ever use, but it's really useful. It's a little Nerad funnel. And see, that's just diverting the water. Now this has got some metal inside of it, so you can actually shape that to whatever shape you want. But look at that, that's perfect. And so now, no water can run back here, which it was. It was a little bit running down there. Well, so we've got this completely removed now. Look at this. Looks nice, doesn't it? He's raised a little bit of copper up, but I'm guaranteed this is in plastic. Let's have a look to see if it goes through here. Can't we see anything? Yeah, look at all that plastic all the way along that back edge. So this is a plastic plumber. Right, we need to work out these brackets. So the bottom one, all I can see is from the side, I reckon that's just a standoff bracket. So I don't think that does anything and just holds that distance away from the wall. Now the top ones, now that to me looks like one plate here, and then this is another plate which is like a hook. So it's possibly the case that this thing just lifts up and off. There is also a flat-headed screw that goes through. Now that could just be for minor height adjustments. So you loosen that off, and then these columns will slide independently through the bracket. Could be the case. We'll have to see once it's drained down. Right, we're just going to check out this view down here. So this is my customer's house. This is out the back. Look at this. How cool is that? That's a wicked little garden. Right, I'll tighten up the bleed and I'll put the valve back on because this is starting to get really full. But look how clear that water is. Now, I've obviously put inhibitor in it, so it keeps it nice and clean. Now, because they have used a lot of plastic pipe work, it stops a lot of flux and nastiness ending up in the heating system when it's being filled up. But yeah, crystal clear. And I know that these radiators have been on for at least 2 years since last time I came here. I came here after the last plumber had fucked up and he'd left. It weren't me that fitted these, but I've done loads of little jobs. In fact, some of my jobs on TikTok are in this property, where we've gone back and we've repaired loads of work. Well, we're on to our second bucket. It's surprising how much some of these designer radiators hold. If this was just a standard style rad that you would have in sort of your new builds in most houses, it'd be about half of one of these buckets. So it just shows just the mass volume there is within these. Also, just come upstairs, just check the boiler pressure to make sure that we haven't lost anything. Those valves aren't bypassing. Now the heating is on. Everything can run as is. If you look at this valve, you'll probably remember that job. So, on these taps, the faucet with the faucet wax. But yeah, that house again. I don't know if that looks worse to my eye than it does on camera. But that's wow pissed. Look at this one. Oh, lovely. Yeah, so these are definitely for just leveling the radiator out. So if I loosen that off, I've already done it now, but that pushed down a bit because I want that to be on the piss falling this way for now, obviously. So I'm gonna see if I can lift that end up, and that will help just drain everything down in this rad. Oh yeah, perfect, look at that. So now we're falling this way. Yeah, because it's gonna be heavy. I don't want to be lifting it up and water going everywhere. No need to rush with these things. Because you can't. There's nothing I can do. What can I do? I don't know. I'm gonna go to those shops, get a coffee. Right, you better follow for part 2, because I ain't gonna let this video go on for like 30 minutes. It's TikTok, for God's sake. Right, follow for part 2. New radiator, old radiator, still draining. It's a day later. No, it's not really. But whilst we're waiting for that to drain down, we're gonna actually take out these. We're gonna take out the rest of the fittings because we haven't got any new fittings, so we're just gonna reuse these ones. Now, hopefully, they haven't used any Loctite. We're going to be able to get them off nice and easy. Look how loose that was. I'm going to have a little look. Hang on, let me take this out. I mean, they've used PTFE, but what? One wrap? That's not going to take a lot to clean off, is it? Do you know what? Because there was so little on that, I genuinely did think that was going to be some sort of liquid PTFE because I couldn't see anything. Yeah. Nice and clean, and we do have a little bit of sediment from the radiator that's come out through as well, so we get rid of that. Right, so instead of tipping it in the garden, got to find a drain if you can. At the end of the day, this does have chemicals in it, does have an inhibitor in it, and I don't think the plants are really going to love that. I'm in no rush day because it's Friday. Well, it's probably not Friday when this video is going out. It's probably not Friday when you're watching it, about a month later or a year later or 2 years later. I don't know. But I got myself coffee. I'm just going to have 5 minutes. Right, so we've got our tough tub all set up ready to catch any drips. And we're going to do the same with this side. So we're just going to undo this nut here. Pull this valve out of the way, which should be nice and easy because we know there's some plastic behind that boxing. There we go. Look. And then I put this in and untighten it. So, what way does this go? Oh, okay. Put a old fluxy towel down there to catch any water, and we're going to immediately flip this over. There we go. So now that this is flipped over, no water can get on the floor. Ooh. Okay, wow, that was heavy. So, let's open up the new one and then we can have a look. And I think we're just going to use the new brackets as long as they're the exact same. So we're just going to be really careful not to damage the radiator as we open up this package. Right, so we've opened up all of the packaging and look what we found. We found that we got 1, 2, so we top, 1, 2 for the bottom, and then we got 4 extra for another radiator, I suppose. What's also bizarre is we've got 1 pack of, you've got a bleed valve and you've got a cap for the other side. Got another pack, so I've got those. Now there's these in there as well, and these are, I've read in the instructions, they go in the bottom. These are flow diverters, so if the radiator's not getting heated throughout, it's probably because these haven't been fitted. So it forces the water to go up and over, basically. I don't know whether these necessarily have to be fitted on this one. For all radiators over 1,000 millimeters high, I don't think these need to be fitted on these. We will have a look. There are literally 3 completely separate radiator packs of fittings there. So you can't say that they don't give you spares. You're never going to, if you order a radiator from whoever these are, you're definitely not going to be short on parts. Okay, so these only have to be fitted on one end, and that is the flow. So they sit inside like this, and that's your flow diverter. Over 1,000 high. So I think that's for tall column radiators. Don't think I'm going to need it on this job. Right, so we're going to put these in. Now you can see that there is a rubber bush, and that is what's going to squeeze up and tighten up. Now, we could use some liquid PTFE, rapid blue, or some normal PTFE wraps around these threads. I want to go for some rapid blue. This isn't necessary. You could just obviously use that bush. What? These threads move about all over the place. But we're definitely going to put some of this stuff on. No, because that doesn't matter, because that's now separate. That's separate from that. No, we don't need that. This is confusing me, this radiator. Come on, go in. Right, got it going in. Very, very bizarre. I've got these wide, super wide jaw spanners. We could use grips, but obviously we don't want to scuff and scratch and leave teeth marks. So we're going to use flat jaw spanners. I think these are going to be perfect for this job. And we're going to tighten that up plenty tight. Right, so that's in there plenty tight, and we're going to make sure that this is nice and dry. We haven't even got any moisture on this whatsoever, as well as in here, because we are going to be using some liquid PTFE on this. Now, obviously, you could use normal PTFE. You could use Loctite. I don't care. It really doesn't matter. The only thing is with Rapid Blue, this is what's terrible about this, is this nozzle always blocks up and you end up cutting it and cutting it and cutting it until it's right down to the very end. Right, so it's only supposed to be first and third thread. That's what they say will do the job. Now, I like to put absolutely loads on. You know why? Because I get this stuff for free. That's the joy of being a content creator, that everyone wants to give you shit for free. And I will take this stuff all day long because it's about, I don't know, how much is it a bottle? I don't know, because I've never had to buy it. Just going to get that in there. This only really needs to be hand tight. I need to wipe off all this excess. So that end we've just done, we've decided is going to be the bottom, and it makes no difference on these. You look down and it's exactly the same. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way up these ones go and what way in your flow or your return goes. I put this on, that is really disconcerting to me that these move about. But the last one didn't leak and it's the exact same brand, so let's get this one on. Now we're putting on the cap, so the other side is going to be a bleed. Now I've looked at the position of this radiator and I think this side is going to be the side with the cap. Now this one, as you can see, you need a hex or an Allen key to actually tighten it up, and it just has a rubber washer around it that will seal it up. Now I know from experience These snap if you go too tight with these. So you do have to be quite careful with these when you're tightening them up. Now it's a lot of leverage on this end, and that is how tight we're going to do it. So I'm frustrated with this. I've been sat here for 20 minutes just trying to get this to even start. That's so loose in there, and it spins, right? It locks out at a certain point, right? So that's what allows you to actually tighten it up. But can I get it started? No. I've had a look at all of the plugs. Maybe because we've got 6 different plugs, one of them's supposed to be slightly different. And come on. Just start. Something seriously wrong with that. Not doing nothing. Do something. Off. That well, you're definitely not working. I figured it out. I figured it out, and it's taken me way too long to figure it out. These are reverse threads. The reverse thread. It is. It's a reverse thread. Oh, you twat! Oh, you twat! You spent so long fucking about. You gotta laugh at yourself. If you don't laugh, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. Oh, I had to have a break. I went out to the van and I had a little break. I had to recollect myself. No messing about now. Right, so we put our brackets on. Now they just screw through, and then you've got standoff brackets which literally just clip on, and that just keeps your distance. So married them up exactly the same as the last one. Now once we've hung these, then you can loosen this off and we can get it nice and level. So let's hang it. Right, so we've got Neville. Neville identifies as a hammer, but Neville is actually, she's actually a level. We've got to level this up using Neville. So, as you can see, we need to come up this side. I don't know if you can see that. Might be hard to see on camera. So all we got to do is we've got to loosen off these flat-headed screws through this side. Right. And we've just got to gently lift her up and then tighten her once we are at our level. Oh, God, this is quite heavy. Tighten her up and let her go. And look at that. That is spot on. There we go. Neville sorted this out. So just those. And now we're going to make sure that they're all nice and tight. So whilst we was leveling, we loosened off that middle one as well. And then this one's always been tight to keep stability. And we don't have to worry too much because we got loads of play on those as well about getting it exactly where it was before. So very simple. All we've got to do, put these on and wind them up. Like so. Now, these have got rubber in them, so these actually don't have to be dramatically tight, to be fair. So all these really need is just a slight nip up with a spanner, and that will do the job. So, that Rapid Blue, we've used that. And you know what? Because it's a cold temperature, it's been in a cold van, it takes a little bit longer to set than the usual 1 minute. So we're going to leave that for 10 minutes. In fact, whilst that's going off, we'll go up to the boiler and we'll put a little bit extra pressure and we'll get it up to about 2 bar ready to vent this. Right, so whilst we're going to be filling up and the pressure's going to drop out, we're going to turn the boiler off, just flick it off before we do anything. So let's start getting the pressure up. So there's a small square white tab on these Worcesters. This one here, you turn that anti-clockwise. And there's this key here, which usually is off and you have to put it on. But in this one, it's already on there. So turn it on, just get it filled up. It doesn't sound like it's filling up, which means, is the water turned off? Yes, the water's off. The water's off because the customer was on holiday. Right, so we're just going to open up the valves. So, open it up, we can hear that it's starting to fill up. But for it to actually fill up with water, we need to bleed this radiator. So we're going to open up that bleed. You can hear some air coming out. And then as soon as that's filled up with water, you turn that off, turn it off. And then we'll go up to the boiler, we'll top it back up with pressure to 1.5 bar. So unlike the last plumber, we're going to remember we need to open this up. Because that is actually really hot. So the last plumber could have just gone, ah yeah, it's nice and warm. Didn't actually bother to turn that open. So let's have a look at the other one. Right through at the very top level. No radiators in here, is it? No. And there's no air in any of them. So we've checked them all. They're all fine. They're all bled. So that's it, job done. Check the boiler pressure again. And check for leaks. And don't forget, turn the boiler on.